Hi, I'm Stefan Skorchev, and you're listening to Sorry Partner.
Hello and welcome to Sorry Partner, a podcast about bridge and all things interesting to bridge players, brought to you by bridge partners and friends, Catherine Harris and Jocelyn Starts. On today's program, we talk with Bulgarian champion Stefan Skorchev about why the social aspects of bridge are so important and his thoughts about ensuring the future of the game. Plus, he shares his top tip for developing players. But first, let's kibitz. Hi, Jocelyn. How are you?
I'm great, Catherine. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I have a little story to share with you from my experience at a tournament this week.
Oh, okay. Do tell.
Okay, well, the bridge world is a fairly small world, so you come across the same characters at various places, even if they don't always play at your local club.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was at a tournament and came to a table where I recognised the north-south pair from around the trap, shall we say. And let's just say they are not my favourite people, which I am just telling you to give the story a little texture.
A little flavor.
Yeah.
Little spice.
So they'd introduced a new move into their off-putting routine.
They're already problematic.
Yeah, they are, because they have a reputation. I've experienced them before. They're not pleasant. Sit down. They're still coming up with the no acknowledgement at the table and then talking to each other like you're not there. And just some people have this very nasty affect. They're just yucky. But anywho, we start playing. I'm the declarer. And they both just turn over their cards the minute they've played a card. So
You can't look at it.
no, but it's not even before the trick's over. They just pull it out.
You're kidding. You can't do that. You keep it
I
there
know.
as long as...
Well, you can imagine what fun this round was, because I'm like, could you please leave your
boy.
cards open? Can you please wait until the trick has been completed? Can you please this? Can you please that? And this just so sour. If they were maybe rank beginners or visiting from somewhere and I could tell they were stressed or something, maybe I'd forgive them. But like I said, I've seen these two round the traps and they've got form. So, I think they're just practicing. They're introducing new moves.
Aha. It's another strategy to annoy and therefore discombobulate the opponent.
Unless they had a bee in their bonnet about me and just thought, let's wind her up.
Maybe they wanted to give you some fodder for sorry partner.
Maybe they did. Well, I got to the end of the hand and I thanked them very much, and I gave them a sorry partner pen for their trouble, because I thought, you never know. And if they did do it for fodder, hello, ladies, it worked. You're on the show. 2 letters today, Jocelyn. Our first letter is from Dawn in the UK.
Excellent.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
She writes, at a recent game at my local club, I picked up a balanced 13-point hand. We play Acol, so I opened 1 no trump. Partner bid 2 clubs, Stamen. I then quickly checked my hand to make sure that my 4 spades hadn't wandered off, to find, to my horror, that my 4 spades were in fact 8 spades, accompanied by 2 hearts, 3 diamonds, and no clubs. My boring no-trump hand had morphed into a thing of beauty. But what to do? I fessed up to the opposition that I had made a bidding error, which I have since found out I shouldn't have done, as it conveys unauthorized information to my partner. The more dominant player suggested that we get on with it, while the weaker player wanted to call the director. Luckily for me, the dominant one was quite vocal and wanted lunch, so the auction continued and I bid 4 spades. Of course it made 7, but no one else bid it. Lucky. In my defense, I have new bifocal glasses. I'm not sure whether to blame them or senile dementia, but needless to say, I am now obsessed with checking the suits. Thanks for the show. I'm a fan and particularly enjoy the psychology of the guests and their approach to the game. Keep on winning, Dawn.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, it's very important not to alert your partner that you didn't mean to make the bid that you made.
Yes. Well, I know that Dawn has explored that with the director, so I know she knows all the rules about that now. But oh my gosh, that's pretty special, Dawn. Luckily, no one else bid it, hey?
Nobody bid the 7 spades.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that they were all just in a happy 4 spades.
Yay.
Our next letter, Jocelyn, is from Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Bill writes, Dear Quell Queens.
Ooh. And kvetch queens.
Yes, our specialty. Last week, my wife and I met with our attorney to update our wills after 35 years. The attorney made us sign a form that said he will not keep anything confidential between spouses. Anything I say to him will be shared with my wife and vice versa. He started doing this when he met with a client and his wife, and the man left a substantial bequest to his mistress. I turned to my wife and said, Honey, you already know that my mistress is the Harrisburg Bridge Club. Can there really be any better quell than that? She told me that she has learned to share me and is at peace with it. On Sunday, we hosted a homemade pasta dinner for my Swiss team and their spouses. Originally, the spouses didn't want to come because they knew all we would talk about was bridge. I entitled the invitation, quote, First meeting of the Bridge Widows Support Group, free food and open bar. There was a 100% attendance. So a big shout out to all the spouses and significant others that tolerate and support our relationships with the other one. All the best, Bill.
Fabulous.
Yeah, fabulous. I know Jocelyn and I are both very grateful to our significant others for tolerating our other ones.
Definitely. Our spouses certainly have to put up with a lot of that.
Yes, they do.
And by all accounts, that Harrisburg Bridge Club is really terrific. So very understandable.
Yes. And Bill has sent us a couple of images of the meal that was presented to the first meeting of the Bridge Widows Support Group. So we'll be posting that on our Instagram.
Excellent. I want some pasta and an open bar. So if you have any fun stories about inadvertent bidding errors and attempting to remedy those, or about spouses having to put up with bridge being the third partner in the marriage, send them to us at sorrypartnerpodcast@gmail.com. You can find all of our contact details on our website, sorrypartner.com, along with some other good stuff.
Coming up next, our interview with Stefan Skorchev.
Bulgarian champion Stefan Skorchev has been playing bridge since he was 12. He represented Bulgaria in many junior championships and twice in the European Champions Cup. He was a quarterfinalist in the 2010 World Open Teams Championships and has had many top 10 results in European and international tournaments. He is also a co-founder of the bridge platform Into Bridge, whose motto is, for the players, by the players. We began by asking him what it is he most loves about bridge.
In the past, when I was young, I loved the way the game it is because it's so complex and there's so many challenges in it, and it was like going to war and trying to solve every puzzle, and even winning a tournament wasn't good enough if I would make mistakes because this is bad bridge. However, when I moved to England to teach and play professionally, I discovered completely different side of bridge that I loved even more. This was the social side. The first tournament we were running, it was a gentle duplicate session or something like that, very friendly, and in the middle of the session they announced lunch break, and I was like, what? People are going to tell each other the hands and stuff like that, and they looked at me like I'm crazy. And I was indeed, because people actually were going to the bridge clubs in England to have fun, to socialize, to see friends. And yeah, I found this part of the game and I absolutely loved it. And even when I play now competitively, I still like to socialize with people. And this is the magic of bridge. Wherever I go around the world, it feels like home, knowing so many people. And this is the beauty of bridge for me. And this is when I started teaching more actively. This is what I was trying to tell people, that it doesn't matter how good you become. The real beauty of the game is actually meeting amazing people. And you should try longer, even if you don't like the game that much in the beginning, then you will like it a lot more.
I'm delighted to hear you say this because, Jocelyn and I both enjoy the social aspects of the game very much. And we often talk about how wonderful it is to meet people and people from all over the world and to have that sense of community. I also come across people, though, who, while I can see they're enjoying the social aspects of the game, they're just in it for the game. And there seems to be this real divide between people who enjoy the social aspect of it. Doesn't mean they don't take their game seriously, but enjoy the social aspect of it. And then some people who just don't seem to get at all that that's important for some people. Because you've played both sides, you've played competitively, and now you found your way more into this other dimension of bridge. I wondered your thoughts about this.
Well, from today's perspective, I think you are right. But if you would say that to the old Stefan, who was only competitive, then I would say you're crazy. So yes, we evolve, and the social is the next level. It's not the competitive, the next level. So being social, for me, I needed to grow up to become social and to like this part of the game. So now it's easy, I understand you, but those people who are just competitive, they haven't reached that level yet.
They're less evolved.
Enlightened.
Less enlightened, that's it.
I completely agree, yes.
How did you learn to play?
Oh, that's a good question. So when I was a kid in 5th grade, a teacher came to school and he said, "Who wants to learn chess? I'm starting chess lessons. You should come to this place." So I'm from a small town, 5,000 people. So we went to the bridge club, about 15 boys. There was no girls, whatever the reason is. Something for Samantha Punch to study. So we went there, 15 boys, to the chess lessons, and 2 weeks later, the teacher threw the chessboard away, and he said, "I'm gonna teach you a more interesting game now," and put the cards on the table. 2 weeks later, I was the only one left at those lessons. The reason wasn't the game of bridge exactly, but it was played with cards. I'm from Bulgaria, and Bulgaria used to be a communistic country, so people's belief is that anything associated with cards is gambling, and some would prefer if your kid is alcoholic or drug addict rather than playing cards. So yeah, this is how it started.
But were you drawn to it because you're a rebel and you would go drawn to the dark side?
Not at all. Your parents will just stop you and your opinion doesn't matter that much. But the point is that my father was a bridge player and he knew the people I was playing with. So he knew it's safe and he would let me go. So my parents were very supportive, and also it helped a lot that the local sports committee had some little budget to support me and go to tournaments. So since I was 12, I was regularly going to tournaments, and this build me as a bridge player, because bridge is about experience. You need to make all these mistakes until you learn.
When is that?
Well, it depends how much time you spend. I was playing 15 hours a day, so it takes only a few years when you do that, or maybe a decade. But when you spend only an hour a day, it's not really enough, and maybe never. I'm sorry to say that. But it doesn't matter, as we said before. It's about the social aspect.
Have you kept in touch with the people that you came up with as a junior?
Actually, I do, because the brightest of them are in the professional circles, and I'm coming from a very strong generation of bridge players with Denis Bilde, Alon Birman, Dorpadon, Madawa was my generation, some Dutch guys, some Italians. There were some Polish players, some very strong players came out of my generation. So those who travel to play professionally, yeah, we meet still.
And are you still socially connected with them, or do you tend to mix with other people, or How has the way you interact with the game changed how you socialize at tournaments?
Well, before it was just hi, how are you? Now we sometimes go to restaurants, sometimes we go to the bar. I'm not very much a bar person, but to socialize is good. And sometimes the tournaments are at such places where you cannot go to your room unless you pass through the bar and then somebody holds you there. But yeah, this is the greatest thing, that you can casually meet people at a bridge tournament. You can exchange. And when you share the same passion, it's never boring. You can always ask about a hand. So it's really great.
Do you meet more people now, or did you used to meet more people when you were playing more competitively?
When I was playing more competitively, I was coming across many people, but meeting them will be too much of a word. They were rather enemies, and I would rather kill them at the bridge table. So I was being friendly, but I never had some deep communications with many people. Now it's the other way around. Now I meet many people and we actually socialize and converse. I travel to so many places and there is always somebody I know from the bridge community. And even if I don't, when you say you're a bridge player, people welcome you, especially if you're alone, because it feels like the wolf pack is protecting you and you're welcome. Even when I've been to tournaments in France, which is not very easy, it's a competitive country, when I go alone, I'm welcomed as a friend. So, yeah.
In all your travels, do you have a favorite bridge tournament?
Yes, I very much do. It's a great question because when you travel for bridge, many times you go to the same place several times. Some of us have been to the same place for 20 years in a row. So there is most of the places when I go again and again, I don't like them that much anymore. But there is one place which I like more every time I go, and that is Madeira. This is the English pronunciation, or Madeira Island. It's a Portuguese territory, but it's closer to Morocco than to Portugal. It's close to the Canary Islands, and they have an amazing bridge tournament there. And the whole island is amazing. So I've been there now about 5 times. I even ran a bridge holiday there, and I'm looking forward to my 6th this time in November.
Wonderful. So when you go to these places, do you just head down playing bridge the whole time, or do you get out of the hotel?
In the past, when I was playing more competitively, yeah, I wouldn't care about the touristic parts, so I would just play and eat and sleep. But now when I play more casually and discovering this other part of the game, yes, I started visiting places and I just love it. It's amazing. There are many places that offer good sites. So yes, I try to see more things. I try to go a few days earlier or stay a few days after the competition so I can do some sightseeing. So yeah, I've become a proper tourist now.
When you think about all the places that you've played and the circumstances where you found yourself playing bridge, what's the most unexpected or unusual place you've played bridge?
I'm playing for about 25 years now, and I'm sorry to say there hasn't been some very exciting place where I've played. Actually, the one which touched me the most was when I played in Madeira last year, and when I was dummy and I just looked ahead and there was the beach, there was the ocean, there were the palms, and it was so beautiful that I just didn't want to play a card from dummy because I was mesmerized by the view. It was amazing.
That sounds special.
It was special. This was the 5th time, and that's why I'm saying I like it more and more, because I needed 5 times to get my head up to see the ocean. But eventually, yes, it was a great view.
How was it that you shifted from being a competitive player to more of a bridge professional?
So when I was living in Bulgaria, I had a bridge sponsor and we were doing quite well. We came third in European Championships, lost a quarter final at a World Championship, and my bridge career was going well, but I really wanted to win the Bermuda Bowl.
Same.
Yeah, I do too.
Many of us have this dream, but actually I devised a plan. I thought in bridge you need a sponsor, and obviously all those sponsors are wonderful people. Winning the Bermuda Bowl with a sponsor, it's a bit tough. So I thought I should become the sponsor. So if I'm the weakest player in the team, this will be a competitive team, I thought. So I left bridge for business with the intention to become rich and spend the money on having my own bridge team. So genius plan of a kid. So yeah, I stopped playing bridge competitively or professionally, or played much less. And I went into the sunglasses business to a bridge player. So I'm from a town near the sea where there are a lot of tourists. So I was managing shops for cheap sunglasses. Managing, it's a bit of a word. I was just not selling them, but doing everything else. And it was exhausting, but I learned a lot of things. Needless to say, I didn't become a bridge sponsor with this job. So then with my fiance, Desi, we decided to move to England to look for a better job or to do something else. However, we emailed 3 of the biggest bridge clubs, and one didn't reply. One said, "Oh, we are moving now, so it's not the best time." And the third one said, "We pay shit." Can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Sure.
We pay shit, but apart from that, you are welcome to come. So when we went there, this is how we went to England and started working for one of the biggest bridge clubs in the world and in England, obviously, the ACO Bridge Club. ACO, most of the people actually don't know what is ACO. It's a bridge system, and most of the people call it ACO. Something like Apple and Apple, but yes, the origin is ACO. So I used to work in that club with more than 1,000 members.
And somehow you got from working at the Alcohol Club to being a co-founder of Into Bridge.
Oh yeah, that was a long journey. So what happened is, when I started at the ACO Bridge Club, the intention was to play professionally with just one client and be paid for that. So I was doing quite well. I won 5 sessions in a row, for example, with 5 different partners, and this was quite something. But nobody hired me, actually. Nobody cared how much I win. I mean, they were saying well done, but that was it. So later I discovered that in England, nobody cares how good you are at bridge, but how you behave. Are you respectful and things like that? So yeah, there is an interesting story here. When I went to England, I was reading newspapers, watching the news, trying to become local. And I read about a story about a guy who bought something from a garage sale, some kind of drawing that it turned out to be a drawing by Andy Warhol, and he bought it for $3 and he sold it for $1.5 million. So I was playing once and we finished the round, and you don't leave normally, you just socialize for the rest of the round. And I decided to mention this story. And it was an important moment, actually, because it was about 6 months after we were there, and we had like 20 pounds left. We were making 150 pounds a week, and our rent was 140 pounds a week. Of course, if we would call our family, they would send us money, but it was not easy. I had 20 pounds in my pocket, the last banknote I had. So I said this story, and people at the table started discussing it, and they were talking about collecting stuff. And then my partner at the time concluded the conversation with, "But what is $1 million these days?" And I was about to laugh because I thought it's a joke. But the other two, like completely serious, they were like, "Yeah, it's nothing." So in the position I was back then, it felt like, okay, this, I now can leave the table. It's not the place where I should stay. So I was at first very shocked, but then I thought, okay, I came here to become a bridge sponsor. So if 1 million is nothing, it will be quick to become a bridge sponsor. So actually, I liked staying there. So after that, people started hiring me. Then I went a bit more into teaching. And then I saw that teaching is not going very well and the retention rates are not amazing, because if it's a 6-week lesson, 6 weeks of 2 hours every week, by the time you get to week 6, people forget what happened in week 1 and 2. And we had another type of courses, which was the weekend course, which was 6 hours each of the weekend days, which was like a marathon, the other extreme of teaching. And people would just look at their watches or just fall asleep towards the end of those long lessons. It was also a nightmare to teach them. So I was thinking, how can we improve this user satisfaction? And we came up with bridge seminars, something that is larger topic covered in about 4 hours, having proper lunch, having proper coffee breaks, and the most important, talking for just 15 minutes and then playing hands and discussing them post-mortem after they've played them. Because if you show a student a hand and tell them the solution and they're like, oh, that's easy, no problem, of course I would get it. But if you let them play, they don't get it, and you tell them afterwards, it works like a magic. Oh, this is how it works, amazing. So this was very successful. The seminars were very successful. We're getting 40, 50, 60 people at a time.
Wow.
So yeah, I started to build a fan base of people who would come to my lessons. And then I thought how we can improve that. So, I mean, the business for the club, because most of the people were obviously, as from the story before, they were very wealthy and they would love to spend more money with the club, but the club was not offering much. So then I thought we should offer bridge holidays, because these people, they have been everywhere. Some of them are lonely. So if we offer social bridge holidays with their bridge club, this can be interesting. And I thought at the time that it was a bit unfair that the clubs, for me, are the ultimate bridge unit. They create players, they build the players, they keep them in the ecosystem. And then a holiday maker would put an advertisement in the magazine, and those people would go to a bridge holiday and abandon the club just for a week or sometimes for longer when they find friends. And actually the holiday maker is getting all the profit and the losses for the club that built that player. So I thought there should be a better way. So I started with this one club, Akko Bridge Club, first. And the idea is to have only people from that club. And the idea was to pay commission to the club way more than if people would go there. And actually it worked amazingly well, because people would come to the holiday, they would enjoy themselves, they've seen the people before, but with many of them, they are not friends yet, they haven't bond yet. But when you spend a week together, actually it changes and people become friends, and then they start agreeing to play sessions because bridge is the driver, and they would visit the club a lot more than they would visit before because they have more friends. They started then having dinners together from the bridge holidays, and they were very socially oriented. What I saw was holidays were generally come to the hotel, it's all inclusive, and play bridge all day long. So I thought this sounds so boring, although it's easy to run. If you're the holiday organizer, you just deal the cards and have enough sets dealt, and it's going well. But I thought it should be better than that. So apart from organizing several excursions during the holiday, I was inviting people to dinners, and everybody would come. I would tell them, listen guys, we are going there 20, 30, 40 people at a time. Nobody is waiting for that many people all together. So it's normal that orders will come late. Sometimes they'll be wrong, and this is completely normal. If you're coming for the social aspect. So enjoy yourselves and don't make fuss about everything. And when you preempt people like that, they know. So when they come and there are problems, you've told them and they cannot complain. So they were very so they were very happy holidays, and I actually had like 100% retention rate. And it was going very well until COVID hit. This stopped the holidays. But then I expanded to other clubs in London, and it was equally successful with both seminars and holidays. So this is how I moved more to bridge professional in the industry rather than playing competitively and getting paid. And I was much happier, actually. I was not miserable anymore. Making people happy and enjoying yourself, having good time with them. It's amazing, because many people say it's old people's game, but for me it's experienced people's game, because when I listen to the story of these people, most of them have been so successful in life. So you can write a book about every one of them. And for me, it has always been amazing to socialize with rich people, despite being old sometimes. And it's not being rich. The way they became rich was they were successful, and the experience they share are often amazing. So I love this.
I think it's interesting that you saw such a strong correlation between people's attachment to the clubs and their desire to play and the social element of the game. And I feel like a note can be taken by clubs that are struggling with attendance to look at ways of developing those social connections at the game, whether it's a monthly dinner or, who knows what, some kind of holiday program, seminars.
Yeah, very much so. This is so important, and actually, this is why we lose most of the people in bridge the first 6-12 months, because they haven't created social bonds. They think it's so about the brain game, and when they have been successful in life, and now we make them feel stupid when we tell them Stayman and Blackwood and a few more things. So very naturally, there is rejection, and people leave the game before they have found this great social part. So for us at the Akko Bridge Club, we found a few things that really work and create better bonds, and more people stay. One of them, it's the supervised sessions where people come, there is no movement, and people just play a hand, then can talk about it. And in the meantime, if they have a question, even during play, they can raise a hand.
Okay, but I'm going to butt in here and say you've found all this fulfillment and enjoyment involving yourself with people in the face-to-face aspects of the game. And yet now we know you very much because of Into Bridge, the bridge platform. So can you connect those dots for me? Because that seems a little antithetical to the other experience.
Yes, thank you for the question. I have to convince people about that, because there are many people who are enemies of online bridge, and they think online bridge will take their players away from live bridge. I don't think that at all, not just because I'm running a bridge platform, but because I have intensively played both ways together, and live bridge has never been harmed by playing online bridge. Online bridge is just between things. It's easier to access and it's easier to practice. And that's about online bridge. Live bridge is the magic, and I still love live bridge, and I would prefer any live tournament to online tournament. But in today's world, it's so much easier to play online. So for me, online is addition to live bridge. They're not competing, they're just thriving together, and they should work very well together, especially when you make friends from abroad and you want to keep playing with them. I often have partners from different countries, and if it's not for online, we would never be able to practice. So for me, online is essential, and particularly with Into Bridge, we developed a social platform with cameras and audio and very nice, we thought, interface to play with other humans. But actually this never picked up because people were used to playing other platforms with other humans. So the last year we focused over robot games where people can have more flexibility and really come and go whenever they want. And this is how we are a bit more successful, because developing new games for people that are creating interest works much better.
And these games, some of them are benchmarking against top players, aren't they? So people might not be socializing with people, but they can compare their results against some of the top players.
Well, they're not socializing, but then they're socializing a lot because their friends play, they can challenge each other, and then they start talking, oh, I beat you on this hand, oh, you are so lucky in this hand. And I actually play very little because it's so obsessive that you don't stop. And this conversation part is too large, because when I beat a friend, the first thing, of course, is to message them the hand and tell them how bad they are. And then they start talking and it goes on. And yes, it is still very social, although it looks antisocial. Just the access to the game and the access to sharing, it's really providing for more social interaction later.
One of our listeners actually was interested in finding out if there is a plan to award points on Into Bridge, either ACBL or other countries' governing bodies.
As far as we're concerned, yes, anybody is welcome to offer points, but the federations are a bit more reluctant.
Oh.
So it takes convincing, and we're working now with one of the biggest federations to get it going and then multiply different other federations. The reason being is that, for example, to offer points, we need people to come and play, and people come and play now for our ranked games. which I can just say with a couple of words to give you a context why it doesn't work directly with federations. It's because it's one board at a time against comparing to only one opponent. So this is very unusual mode, and although it's very flexible to play online, not some federations, but all federations are frightened because this is not how you distribute points, master points. Normally you need a session of several boards comparing to several other people or teams. So we are trying now to find the right formula to have a contract to assign master points. But of course, I understand federations because they have to be true to their members and to other facilitators that award points. So we also need to do it in a fair way, that we don't give too many or too few points. So we are working on the formulas now, and I hope we'll have success. As far as the ACBL goes, they have exclusive contracts, so we cannot work with them until the summer of next year, but hopefully things will change after that and we'll get a chance. We don't believe in exclusivity, not just because we are outside it, but definitely innovation comes from competition, and we just want access to this market, and if we have it, then it's up to us to do well. So we are quite hopeful about that.
Another of our listeners was curious about how you handle the issue of cheating with the platform. Can you speak to that?
Yes, so the first thing is that when you register an account, there is a tick that you are saying, I won't cheat. So obviously this doesn't mean much, but there is this mental barrier that when people come, they know that this is a place where cheating won't be tolerated. So we don't have devised a system yet for anti-cheating. However, because people play against each other, they compare to each other, we get reports and we can eventually investigate. However, we have gotten like a couple of reports and they were all wrong. Because the ranked games is such a fast mode that cheating will take you a lot more time than actually playing a few hands. So it's kind of pointless to cheat. And that's why we haven't had any big issues with cheating. We run games for some clubs in England where we have investigated players. We haven't discovered anybody cheating yet, but we have a team of our colleagues are bridge players and we have consultants bridge players, so I think it will be fairly easy. And actually running it as a private business, it's much easier to deal with cheats because unfortunately, it's very tough to prove it. When you prove it, often they get you to court, and even if you're right, you may still go bankrupt. So with private businesses, you can just say you're banned now without giving a reason and without going to court. Of course, this creates extra responsibility that you cannot be banning people that you don't like here and there. But yeah, we haven't come across a cheating case yet, so it's hard to tell you what we're gonna do and how we're gonna catch them. But for now, it's going quite well because the mode we are developing, it's kind of cheat-proof and it's not needed to go after cheats at the moment, but we totally hate them. When I was saying about the strong junior generation I'm coming from, some of them were some of the famous cheats that have kind of stolen from me and from my peers, so I feel very strongly against cheaters. And actually, when I was thinking to become a bridge sponsor, this was the time I was beaten by those cheats at the open level. So I've been personally harmed a lot. My co-founder, Christoph, is also from my generation. He's also been suffering from cheaters. So yeah, we feel very strongly about it.
What's the biggest schmozzle or muck-up you've ever had at the table?
That's easy. Actually, it's not easy because I've had many, but then it depends what the stakes are. So the biggest muck-up I've ever had was at an important bridge competition. It's called European Champions Cup. It's for the first 10 teams that finished the Europeans and another 2 teams, the host team and the champion from the last edition. So it's extremely strong competition. You start with 2 groups of 6 teams. And then first and second play semifinals, third and fourth play against each other for 5th to 8th and so on. So it was the last qualifying round and we were playing against the leaders of our group and we needed to win by about 27 imps. So in the beginning of the match, there was a hand that we were playing the strongest pair in the world back then, or maybe even now, Brink and Driver from the Netherlands. So we had a very competitive auction. Everybody was bidding like crazy. And then one of them bids 3-0 trump. and their suit is clubs, and now the clubs are on my right, so I know that they'll depend on that suit to make it. They don't have that many points, and I had queen 10 third, so I thought it's a great opportunity to double, unless, of course, dummy has honor jack, but that is not often. So I doubled, and I let one of the red suits. My partner had bit spades, but then we agreed on the red suits. So what happened in the black suits, there was king empty third on the table, actually. So my queen 10 third were very good sitting in front of dummy. My queen couldn't be finessed. And in my partner's suit, dummy had ace jack fifth. I had the button 10. So declare won the lead and cashed the king of spades in our suit. So I had the button 10 and played low casually. And then Declare played low club in his suit towards the king third. So I should normally put the 10. I didn't put the 10, I played low. And now you think he finessed my queen 10, but he actually didn't. He played the king. And when he cashed the ace of spades to only go 4 down for 1100, he was saving the damages. Instead of following with my 10 of spades, I followed with the 10 of clubs, which was now a penalty card. And now he made all his clubs by kind of finessing my queen the other way around, because he calls me to play the 10 of clubs. So he just plays the jack, I follow with the 10, then he plays the ace, I follow with the queen, and he runs the clubs. So instead of 1100, they made 750, and that was exactly 27 imps what we needed to qualify. But this is not the worst part of the story. The worst part is that I blew another 27 imps in a few other hands because I had completely blocked out. Like, I've never had that feeling. It was like a cloud, a black cloud entering your head, and you cannot think. I went to the toilet, I did many things, but nothing. I was just not there completely. And in the end, the match was a draw, actually. So if I had saved that one board or the train wreck after that, we would have won by 27 imps and qualify for the semifinals. So yeah, when my friends or students think they've done something bad and they're really disappointed, I tell them this hand and they are immediately feeling better.
Well, that's why we ask people like you.
That is the worst hand, and I have played tons of Grand Slams missing cases, so don't worry, it happens if it happens to you. Even clients have fired me for doing that, but I just cannot stop myself. When I think it's right, I shoot, and I think I'm satisfied. So yes, if you play slams missing cases, that's perfectly normal, don't worry.
Is there an issue in bridge, a hot button issue, or something else that's really important to you that you're really passionate about?
Well, I'm passionate about bridge in general and this so-called survival of the game that we talk about all the time. And some people are unfortunately in denial. So I want to be very clear that from our research and what we see, that all federations around the world, sorry if there is one that is not, but generally 90+% of federations have lost 20 to 40% of their membership past COVID. And also the average age has gone up considerably. So the game is definitely dying and it's up to us to save it. So we are lucky that the game itself is amazing, and especially in today's world where everybody is on social networks, but meanwhile having such antisocial life, bridge creates wonderful opportunity. I call it for mental speed dating, because when I go to a tournament, I meet so many unique people, and with some of them you exchange, with some of them you further exchange, you become friends. So bridge is an amazing gateway to make friends, to be social, to have exposure with real life. And I think that we should really try much harder to bring people to the game. There is a lot to be done, both online and in person. And I just think that we should be more united, because historically, bridge is very protectionist. Clubs protect from each other, federations protect from each other. And we see that all these successful sports, it's a lot about sharing, cooperating, working together, growing together. So I think that people who are involved in running bridge should leave this mindset behind and try to cooperate with others. I know it sounds too general, but I'm sure that those people know what I'm talking about. And everyone who wants to develop bridge should contact people that are important in their society and talk to them. I'm always open for conversations, how to improve things. but there is really a lot that can be done if we work together, and we should, because otherwise there will be too few people, and critical mass is something essential. We think, oh, they will be always playing bridge, but unless you have critical mass, it's really not bridge. And we experienced that with the first US nationals post-COVID, that there was barely critical mass and barely the tournaments were viable. So now it's better, but we should know that this threshold is not too far, and if we reach it, we might be beyond point of return then.
What are some practical things that you think people can do just on an individual level to contribute to the health of the game?
I would say teach people, but actually teaching people without having the qualification or the know-how of how to teach people, it's really difficult. However, we think wrongly that good players are good teachers. It's not at all. Sometimes weaker players are better teachers because they speak the same language. So I would say if you want to help, go to some bridge lessons, see the good teachers, learn how they teach, and you get to teach people yourself from your community, because you'll be surprised how many of your friends are actually interested in bridge or can be interested in bridge, because they see how passionate you are, how much good time you have, and everybody wants to have good time. So if your friends see it, some of them will definitely be interested. So yes, either send them to bridge lessons or teach them yourself, or spend the time to talk to them, to tell them about the beauty of the game, and it's not all about having success or understanding it. Tell them that nobody gets it anyway, so they should just play for the social part of it. And that's really what an individual can do at the moment.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Great suggestion.
So I can add about my experience with the Greek Bridge Federation. So these guys, about 10 years ago, they had about 1,500 members, and they started intense teaching program to teach the teachers, and they got 50 teachers, and several years later, their membership grew up to 5,000 people. So you may think there are no such examples around the world, but there are, and we can learn from the Greeks. So when I spoke to them, their head coach, Vasilis Fervidakis, very nice guy, very proactive in the Bridge Society, he told me one thing, the recipe to success: teach the teachers. If you have the teachers, you'll find the place, you'll find the people, the students, the money, everything. So yes, I think the future of Bridge, at the bottom of it, lies to having good teachers. Also, I'm a bit biased, but I think it's kind of obvious from other games that online it's a much easier entry to the game. And for example, if you write play chess online, you'll find 20 websites where you can easily learn how to play chess. But if you type learn to play bridge, you get to some websites where there is tons of written material that reading a couple of sentences will put you off. So we really need interactive software to streamline teaching, and this is not just us into Bridge as a platform, but all Bridge platforms, new Bridge sites. Everybody should provide easier access to learning the game, because even now we have people, they say they come to Into Bridge, they say in the chat, I want to play cards, I don't get the bidding, for example, and we don't have any of that. It's much easier for them and much more enjoyable when they just play the cards in the beginning. But we need to, after all, have ways to teach them the bidding during them playing cards. We have already some ideas at Into Bridge that we want to push further. However, yes, having facilities for easy access to the game, it's essential, and to focus on keeping them the first 6 months. After that, almost everybody stays because they make friends.
So befriend a potential bridge player. Teach them to play. Hang out.
Yes, sounds perfect.
What is something that people might be very surprised to learn about you?
Wow, I don't know. Maybe when COVID hit, I found hiking and snowboarding, and before that I wouldn't do it much or not at all. Even the idea of it sounded very badly. But now I'm in love. I'm in love with it, yes. And being in front of the computer all day long, I love the weekends to go out, especially if there is no cell phone connection. So it's really peaceful, and this is what I like, and I recommend to everybody who spends time in front of the computer. And snowboarding itself, although it sounds adventurous, it's not that adventurous. Even bridge players can be good snowboarders. So try it, but just the first season, be careful because the first season will hurt. After that, it's pure pleasure.
Stefan, you've worn so many different bridge hats. What is something that you know now that you wish you knew then?
Oh, I don't actually. I learned in a natural way and it was a great journey. I'm saying it like I'm retiring. I feel like just starting. But I don't know. Everything came in place at the right time when it was needed. So I cannot say anything specific. Now I've been into many different things, as you mentioned, holidays, clubs, competitive games. I can say that from everything I've done in bridge, the most enjoyable for me and the most difficult was the holidays, because running a bridge holiday, it sounds like a week of work, but it's actually months of work when you sign up people, and then when you go to that holiday, it's very intense. People need or want something which is perfectly normal. But the satisfaction of sending home happy people, it's really cannot be compared to anything else. So if I have to choose one of all the things I've done in bridge, I'll choose running bridge holidays for smaller groups. Even it's not about the profit or anything, just great experience when you can make it more personal and more touching, and people really care about that.
I think Jocelyn and I know where we'd like to take our next vacation.
Yeah. Madeira.
Okay. That will be amazing, yes. Okay, I'll invite you next time I'm running one.
Excellent. So back to bridge, the game. Do you have a favorite bridge convention?
I do, yes. I have a favorite bridge convention. It is very simple. So this is the 5-no trump pick a slam convention, which is not something very sophisticated. You just beat your 4-card suits up the line. What I like about this convention is that in IMPS tournaments where it seems scoring or just not much points, where 6-no trump is not a necessity to play, 6 of a minor is often a much better contract, especially with 4 to forfeit, where you need to play that suit in no trumps anyway. So the 5-no trump gives you flexibility, especially with 2 balanced hands on the way to 6-no to beat 5-no and stop in 6 of a minor. So even in match points events, I like to push to slams. And when you push to slams, especially if the field is not too strong, people are generally not pushing that much. So you don't need desperately to be in 6-no trump, because people often use this excuse, oh, everybody will be in 6-no, so that's why I bid it. And then everybody is in 3-no and they went one off in 6-no, while 6 of a minor had a better chance. So this is one very simple and useful convention for me that I like, and everybody I explain it to already knows it, so there is no learning curve and misunderstanding, which is the biggest nightmare of bridge. So yeah, I love it.
Is there a bridge convention that you really do not love?
Oh, I wouldn't say so. I love conventions, but I hate them most because people tend to forget them and then I don't like to play them. So the worst is when I played professionally with clients and somebody who's played for 5 years comes up with 30-page system or even more. Now I know that I'm in trouble because this person thinks they know a lot and they actually know nothing about the game. Because some people tend to lean towards learning system, improving their system, adding another convention. And I had this revelation, like I had a discussion when I was younger with somebody experienced, and I was saying, oh, this convention is so good, it will improve your bidding so much, better contracts. And this person was saying, okay, think about it. How many times you open the bidding? How many times you open one no trump? How many times you have continuations, how many times this hand comes. It's all about 0.00 something, the chances of getting a specific hand. So just playing another convention for the sake to improve by 0 something percent, it's not worth it, and actually it creates a lot more tension because you're always worried, oh, what is it now? Did I remember it correctly? And then by the time dummy comes down, you're already exhausted. Your brain is like a sponge in a long competition. So if I can give one advice to everyone, fewer conventions you play the first 10 years of your career, better for you. be focusing on the card play, but also you focus on the understanding of the game, because conventions like hiding the beauty of the game. You're just following something written up before that, treating a hand one way that can be actually treated another way. For example, you open 2-no trump 20 to 22 points and you have 20 points and you think this is a minimum, but it's actually can be a maximum if you have high cards like aces and kings. And the estimation of the hand, it's much easier if you use natural methods and you need to find your way to the best contract. It's not as precise as conventions, but understanding the game and the flow should come first, and this will then make you a better player when you start adopting different conventions. And I can add to that, forget about bluffing. My teacher told me when I started, I forbid you to bluff for the first 10 years of your career. After that, you can do whatever you want. But I feel that after you play for 10 years, you'll find yourself that it's just stupid to bluff and you won't do it. So yes, bluffing, it sounds smart, but it's so destructive and it creates such tension between you and partners sometimes. And even if it's successful after the first moment of joy, then you feel like you didn't really win by playing bridge. You are just gambling, and this is not what bridge is about.
Right. You're Bulgarian. You don't like gambling. When you say bluffing, do you mean like psych bidding or false carding or?
No, it's rather psyching, like bidding with a 2-card suit or stuff like that. It is pointless. Of course, there are positions where you're protected and you do it more natural, like your partner opens weak 2 hearts and you have singleton spade and 4-card heart fit. So you can be clever to bid 2 spades.
To keep them out.
To keep them out. However, for example, I did that once at the Yakov Bridge Club, and there were complaints to the manager that I was abusing the game, and I received a warning, and at the time I thought this is insane. But then I thought, yeah, it's perfectly right. People expect you to have spades when you bid spades, and as I was already a professional, it was a bit unfair of me to use my experience and gain credits for bidding short suits in protected situations. So I would say this type of psychs are totally fine at the high level, but at the club level, avoid them. No point of trying to be clever. You're not, you just upset people.
What is the best bridge tip or advice that you've ever been given?
Oh, well, I know for sure. It's something I think that originates from Bob Hammond. It's about when the hand is over, forget about it for 2-3 days, and then you remember it. So I thought first, of course, this is insane. How can Bob Hammond forget hands when he is Bob Hammond? I never forget hands. I sleep with the hands. I think about them, especially the bad ones. So then I decided to try it. It was difficult in the beginning, but then it completely changed how I see bridge and how I enjoy it. And also it improved my results, because when you're upset about the previous board, we all know that sometimes it's a train wreck and you keep making mistakes. So this was the best bridge advice I've ever heard. And since I adopted it, I'm much happier with my bridge game. And this is what I try to tell people. I don't care about your mistake. I know you may look silly. Yes, you are silly, you are stupid, but we all are. Let's just forget about it and not make another mistake the next board. And actually now kind of more people want to play with me. I don't know why.
Stefan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great talking to you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me. Goodbye, everyone, and happy bridging.
And that's the show. Many thanks to our guest, Stefan Skorchev.
Thank you also to our Sorry Partner posse of listener supporters who make the show possible.
Sorry Partner is produced by Catherine Harris, with production assistance from Olivia Cooper. Our theme music was composed by Jocelyn Starts and produced by Daniel Graboy.
Send your bridge stories and comments to sorrypartnerpodcast@gmail.com or send us a voice message. And please consider supporting the show. Join the Sorry Partner posse, purchase books through our site, or explore the merch store. These links are in your app, on the website at sorrypartner.com, or wherever you like to listen. We'd love to hear from you, but be nice, or we'll call the director. Until next time, play well.
May all your finesses be on side And remember, as Stefan says, forget about the hands after you've played them for 2 or 3 days. Then you'll remember them. Really. Thank you, partner.
Thank you, partner.
Bye.
Bye.